Welcome everyone to Cultivate Prana's Masterclass, where we share methods, techniques, and wisdom from the path and practice of yoga so you can apply them to master your health, relationships, and business. I'm your host, Dimadin Narayan, and my guest speaker today is Dr. Jim Morningstar. Jim is the director of Transformations Incorporated in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and has held licensure as a clinical psychologist since 1973. He is a clinical supervisor, seminar leader, and has pioneered in the development of therapeutic breathwork. He founded the School of Integrative Psychology in 1980 and the Transformations Breathworker Training Program in 1990. He has authored 5 books in the field of integrative psychology. He is co-director of the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance, and he teaches internationally. Today, Jim is going to be talking about therapeutic breathwork, a doorway to self-realization. And where I want you to guide our audience today is we are not pausing enough. We are not taking that moment in our day to bring that awareness to us, to start feeling the sensations that we have when I am angry, when I'm anxious, when I'm frustrated, to pause in that moment, travel with the breath, take a journey with the breath inwards, feel that sensations. So we talk about awareness, like breath awareness being probably the most powerful way to realize certain things, to realize emotion. May not be self-realization during that day, that moment could happen, but just to realize that sensation, to realize that feeling, and we're not doing enough. So what do you have for the audience to make it a habit in our busy life to just pause, reflect, breathe?
All right. Well, some people will just listen to what you said, and they have gone far enough in their life that they're really ready to take that to heart. What you just said so beautifully, Devendra. Because breath awareness is always the first step. And so, for example, I'm trained as a counselor, right? And I am talking to someone about things that are hurtful or painful for them in their life. And I ask them, well, just pause a second. Now notice how your breathing is. We're talking about that abuse that you had. And they look around, well, I'm not breathing, or I'm breathing very shallow. Mm. Now, this is not a criticism. It's just saying, okay, there's something in your body that's telling you right now that there's fear, there's constriction, there's holding. And so just as you're aware of that now, take a breath. And people will, in the middle of their talking about some trauma, they'll, okay, that makes you a little more resourceful. Now you're not in it. Now you can step back from it a little bit and realize that it doesn't define you. The breath helps you give that little buffer, as it were, from being engulfed by illusion. That's all you are, is a traumatized man. Okay? So that simple act of breath awareness, and I do this, some people that I work with, I don't do formal breath work. That may be it. Just pointing out to them, notice what you're doing, because breath work is a 24/7 biofeedback mechanism. It's there with us all the time, as you're suggesting. Now, there are other people who say, well, golly, that makes sense. I really like that. But you know what? I've got a Zoom meeting now I've got to go to, and they in one ear and out the other. That's where life will keep on turning up the volume until it's like, oh, I'm getting a diagnosis from a doctor or something. I really need help. And they will come and then do a breathwork session, and they will have an experience of changing an inner dynamic. They'll have an experience of what was just so deadly serious before evaporates. Now that then gets them interested in, maybe I will stick with this breath awareness business. Maybe that got my attention. And for so many people, that's, once they do breath work, then, okay, sign me up for the training. I want to do that, because it wasn't an interesting idea, or it wasn't even Devendra's experience, which I'm sure it was great for him, but he's an advanced guy. Me, no, I could never do, they will do a separation like that. So the tool, first of all, is simply taking the advice and playing with it, or going and getting support with someone to coach you into how to use it. Because awareness is one thing, but I say sometimes it can be the booby prize. Now I'm aware of why I am so screwed up. Yep, I'm still screwed up, but I'm aware of why I'm so screwed up. And so it takes a little bit more than just awareness. It takes the courage to make a change. And that's where breath modulation comes in. And breath modulation means I can breathe slower than normal. I can change. And that kind of wakes me, any change wakes you up a little bit. So now I'm doing coherent breathing, which the Heart Math Institute has studied, and they show they bring brain waves and heart waves into harmony together. Wow, that's an experience. You know what? I do that before I go to bed, and I do that immediately after I get out of bed. I start with bringing my harmony together. That's slower than normal breathing, pranayama. I do a circular breathing, all sorts of things. I have like 300 YouTube videos, many of them on different breathing techniques. Let's get it out there. That's what I call maintenance breathing, slower than normal breathing. And it's generally through the nose, which is physiologically often the best way to breathe in terms of regulating particles from the, coming out and warming the breath and taking it in. But then there's also faster than normal breathing, which is one of the techniques in our toolbox. I know there's also faster than normal breathing in Kapalabhati in yoga too. But we've specialized in that now, and how, because we know that trauma is stored in the right brain. And if it severely overwhelmed the nervous system, then it's out of our conscious memory. We don't even know exactly what happened. Or we might know that something bad happened, but I am not going to experience that again. Well, we know now neurologically that when the nervous system is overwhelmed, the amygdala says to the thalamus, danger, danger. Thalamus says to the hypothalamus, cut off connections to the thinking brain. We need emergency brain working. Run. Don't think, oh, let's see, should I go up the mountain or in the valley? Let's see, it's raining in the valley. Maybe, no, we don't have time for that. Boom, we go into action. So to go back into that place that we had trauma, we need to go back into the sympathetic nervous system, but done judiciously, so it's not re-traumatizing. That's where we have the skill in breath work to do faster than normal breathing in a safe atmosphere with a coach that empowers you to reprogram that script. Never get close to any man with a mustache, because I was hurt by a man with a mustache. And now I just have a fear, and I won't go into public places because of mustaches. And I don't even know why that is, or I might even know why, but I can't change it. And so we can rewire those programs and bring safety to the places that we didn't have the insight, the support, the wherewithal to create that safety or care for ourselves through that experience. So this is breath awareness is the start. Slower than normal breathing gets us into it because it maintains us on a daily basis. But I can still do breath awareness and slower than normal breathing and still be holding on to lots of trauma because I've learned how to avoid it. I've learned how to calm myself, and I just never go to anywhere where someone might be wearing a mustache, and then I'm safe.
Mm.
So the full tool box then involves breath awareness, slower than normal, and faster than normal breathing. That's what we call therapeutic breath work, and that's what we're doing in our upcoming training.
Yeah, wonderful. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit, Jim. You said something very important that not many of my yoga community would know is we are aware of being aware of our breath. We can become aware of our breath to feel it, to feel the sensation. I'm feeling the coolness of the inhale. I'm feeling the warmness of the exhale. We can even to some degree modulate the breath to say, I can breathe slow and, calm the sympathetic nervous system down. What we miss is that guide in our life, that coach, that breath worker, a trainer who can sit right next to us and guide us through. Because I'll tell you just my own stories. When I try to do breath work on my own, I cannot after 20-30 minutes of the fast breathing, because I know that I'm hitting that edge now where I need somebody's support to guide me through it. Because all of a sudden what will happen is the fear will come in, right? That part of the brain which says, no, you cannot go in there. You got to just stop here. And the body feels that way. So that's an important message for everybody out there who wants to do this kind of work, is there are certain things that you can do on your own, but then there are parts that you really need somebody who is there to guide you through the process, who you can trust, who can sit right next to you all virtually in this environment, and take you through that inner journey.
Yes, well said, Devendra. And I would add to that a coach is a temporary fiction, because, as you say, you feel safe with a person, and that's good. We need to do that. We need to feel safe and learn and get support. But the goal of the coach is to have you coach yourself. That's the goal. But it takes a while to do that, to where you will integrate that and you become your own coach, or the spirit of breath, as it were, becomes your coach. We're looking to work ourselves out of business, in the true sense.
Yeah.
But if I'm so hesitant to even trust another person, then I'm going to stay in that fear-constricted position. But even selecting a coach is part of the process. Even trusting your intuition. I say breathwork is intuition training. It doesn't mean, we'll go sign up for no. That's why we started the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance, which is, here are breath coaches who have agreed to go through minimum 400 hours of professional training, 2 years of experience, and pledge to a code of ethics. So now, does that mean they're the best? No, but it means they're willing to devote themselves that much to it. A profession is an agreement between practitioners and the general public to train sufficiently, operate according to ethics, and then monitor themselves on that. So in that organization, if someone isn't following ethics, then it's dealt with in a restorative justice way. Okay. So,
wonderful. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that absolutely, I needed a coach I
Mhm.
wouldn't have gone. You know, I was reading some of Leonard Orr's early training. He was a fellow that started the modern rebirthing movement, and he would coach people even when he thought it was the bathtub or the hot water. He'd say, stay in there and breathe, a connected breathing, just breathe connected. And then when you feel like that's enough, I've got to get out of here. Oh, stay 20 minutes longer. So he was coaching people, and he would go and sit there with them by the bathtub and help them stay with that. And so, yeah, having a coach is, for most of us,
Mm.
the way to help us get over the hump, as it were.
Yeah.
Then we own it. Then we have it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very. This sounds very familiar in a yoga training where we ask a student to hold the pose, and it says the real yoga begins when you want to come out of that pose. So same applies to what you just referred to about Leonard Orr. Is just the real transformation happens when that uncomfortable feeling is showing up and you just want to run away.
Yeah. And what do you do? Even in yoga, what do you do to be able to stay past that uncomfortable position?
You breathe.
Yes.
You breathe.
Right. You take a breath and you release the holding pattern that's been getting tighter and tighter.
Exactly.
Right.
You breathe. This has been such a wonderful journey. Jim, we can talk for maybe 2 more hours, but what I like to do is maybe a few minutes. We'd love for you to lead us through a short breathwork practice, maybe a few rounds of coherent breathing or whatever you feel like giving to us today. And then we will close with some information on your upcoming training.
Okay. Well,
All right.
what I'll ask you to do, if you're willing, is to get yourself in a comfortable seated position and your spine relatively straight, but not rigid, straight, letting the flow of energy, and focus on a ball of light, radiant energy at the base of your spine. Vibrant, scintillating prana, life energy at the base of your spine. And as you inhale, slowly bring that ball of light energy up your back to the top of your head on the inhale. And on the exhale, let it come down the front of your body, going back to the base of your spine. And keep that circle going, inhaling up the back and exhaling down the front, and suggesting to yourself that nurturing and healing energy goes to every vertebrae as you slowly go up the back and every vital organ as you slowly come down the front. And you are creating now with your breath and your intention a cocoon of light energy. And you give instructions to the boundaries of that cocoon, that semi-permeable membrane, that cell of life, to let nothing inside that cocoon that is not in alignment with your highest. You command, you give those instructions to this sanctuary that you have created with your breath and your intention. But it's a semi-permeable membrane, so it's filtering out what's toxic, but it also allows you to breathe out the loving intentions that you want for your world. So if you're willing to practice that right now, imagine a beam of light healing energy going from your heart to someone in your world now. It's not intrusive, but it just surrounds them, bathes them, as it were, in your love and your light as a free gift. Notice how you breathe and how that feels to you. To share your light energy with another. Now come back, if you will, to breathing in the inner sanctum of this cocoon, this sanctuary of yours, your heart area. As you breathe into your heart area, imagine that you invite your divine infant. This is the closest pathway to your source. This divine infant knows you beyond your story, knows you before you've had any of your current life experiences, knows your traumas and your triumphs, and loves you completely, just the way you are right now. Just the way you are in this moment. And if you are willing, make eye contact. Even if you don't have a visual, I'm not a very good visualizer, but even if you don't have a visual, have a felt sense of making eye contact and breathing in unconditional love of your source. We have been trained to be great givers, great healers. We also must train ourselves to be great receivers. This is what feeds our soul. This is what reminds us of who we are and why we're here. And again, if you're willing, ask this divine infant to take your hand and to show you who you are beyond your story. Now, don't let your mind jump in and create images or pictures or expectations. Simply feel the little hand of your divine infant and see where she or he brings you. Okay. Now, another part of the journey that I'm just going to suggest to you, we're not actually going to take together today, but were I doing this with you individually, or even if we were doing it in a group, the next part of this journey would be to go into faster than normal breathing, put more energy through the system, through your system, and have that divine infant be your partner as you flush out whatever is no longer needed, whatever has been blocks to your accepting the truth of who you are, to your experiencing the truth of who you are, any past holding patterns or traumas. And we breathe for maybe 10, 15 minutes with faster than normal breathing, which would, again, help you in that process of daily using breath as your guide. So thank the spirit of breath and your divine infant. And if you're willing, even make a commitment, but don't make any promises that you're not willing to keep. You know, kids get lots of those from adults. I make a commitment to meet with my little one every day. Morning and evening is even best. And I ask, where are you, little one? What do you feel? What do you need and want? They are experts on our emotional body. They are experts at knowing us beyond our mind's to-do list and agenda. So I invite you to play with it, experiment with it, make it your own. But for now, thank you, little one, in the spirit of breath. And with a couple of deep and clearing breaths, bring yourself back to the video.
That was beautiful, Jim. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my favorite thing. We get to play games like this together, Devendra.
You know, when you said imagine that cocoon, I'd never seen that meditation, that breath meditation that way, but that was an eye-opener for me today to imagine that cocoon of energy around,
Yes.
that little caterpillar, and still think that it's permeable. It can breathe through that energetic cocoon,
Right.
bring in the energy that's needed, let the energy that's not needed being taken away, still feeling safety and warmth and growth inside that. Because what comes next is just beautiful, right? So thank you. That was wonderful for me. So we'd love to learn. I know you have an upcoming training. Please tell us more about the dates, what the setup is going to be, and any more information about it.
Yes. Well, I do my in-person trainings during the summer. And of course, we couldn't do that last summer. So we had to do everything virtually. So we discovered now how to do a training that's both in-person and virtual at the same time, which is going to be a knock the socks off experience, because we can not only have the wonderful group of people August 16th through the 20th at a wonderful retreat center in the countryside of Wisconsin, but we're also going to have people virtually from around the country and even from around the world who will be with us at that time. And the energies of both of those together, it's like, yes, we've experimented with this. Actually, you did a little virtual training with us, Devendra, and we discovered we can have essential connection even through internet.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Jim, that was beautifully put together by you and your staff. And I can attest to it. Those 2 days were really transformative. And I attended that training virtually. Actually, we all did.
Yes.
Everybody was virtual at that point, and those 2 days were pretty transformative. So I can attest to the fact that it can be done. Ideally, you need to be there to experience, but we are all connected, right? So
Right.
even if you cannot travel to Wisconsin, this is as good as being there.
Right. And so my website is transformationsusa.com. transformationsusa.com. And on the homepage, there's a link there to go to information about the training, either virtual or in person. And then, of course, on the website, there's all sorts of classes that have been recorded. I've recorded 3 years worth of classes in the School of Integrative Psychology and various levels of breathwork training. Now, of course, you can't do training just through a video. We can do it virtually, but you can get a lot of information and inspiration through things that you're just watching on your own. And then go to a training, get a coach, jump in the water. Because literally, we do breathwork in water. We do that too, which we'll be doing this summer.
Jim Morningstar, thank you for blessing us with your knowledge, your wisdom, your love. Much appreciated.
It was truly my honor. As I said, I resonate very much with where you're coming from as a teacher and as a person. Thank you, Devendra.
Thank you, Jim.